So the point of this video is to consolidate what we know about Sage up until now and check how new information changes things. We'll mostly talk about Sage's personality quirks, motivations, and how she perceives herself. When you look at Sage, you realize that she has a need to shoulder the weight of the world. We don't think about this often, but Sage's powers are so potent that Valorant agents aren't afraid of death anymore. This is something that Deadlock talks about in one of her emails. And this is really important to internalize. An organization that specializes in mortal combat and faces extremely dangerous situations doesn't fear death anymore. This puts into perspective how important and valuable Sage is to Valorant. So much so that both Alpha and Omega Valorant are in tatters, now that Alpha and Omega Sage are both out of commission. But despite being so valuable, she constantly feels the need to learn more and train harder, pushing herself to her very limit, as seen through the Revelation cinematic. Sage also has introspective voice lines that go along with this. She constantly feels the need to prove to her fellow agents that she is not just a healer. And for those who don't know, she has the ability to heal, regenerate limbs, and resurrect the dead, by the way. So Sage critiquing herself so harshly is surely odd. Based on evidence and implications, I think that due to events in her past, she forever feels inadequate. Maybe this is related to her interactions with Viper, which implies that Sage failed her. Another voice line hints at how Sage wasn't enough before, whatever that means. It doesn't have to match the events that happened with Viper, but it does fit the low self-worth thing going on with Sage. Even Brimstone comments on her desire to fix everything, all by herself. He tries to remind her that she is enough as she is. Sage's entire notion of being more than just a healer is also weird. Sage's abilities make it clear that she is great at defense and healing, but through her involvement in Valorant missions, we know that she is also a combat medic with great offensive capabilities. If Sage was just a healer, she would stay at Valorant headquarters all the time. So the situation goes something like this. Sage goes above and beyond with her powers, which makes her think that people value her more as a healer. In turn, she trains hard and tries her best to become a better soldier, but because she's also a great healer, she feels inadequate as a soldier, which in turn leads her to. So you start to see this interesting yet toxic cycle that has been set in place, which serves to further fuel her feelings of inadequacy. We don't have a single voice line that mentions Sage to be bad or incompetent at offense or defense. I don't know if the narrative team is actually trying to imply this, but the goals that she sets for herself are really unrealistic. She can go on to become a great soldier, one of the best Valorant has, but she can kinda resurrect people, man. I don't think you can top that at all. And even if she could, looks like Sage wouldn't be satisfied. But maybe Sage realizes all of this, and it torments her too. Sage doesn't feel comfortable relying on other people or seeking help at times, as we've seen through in-game interactions and voicemails. She also gets oddly stubborn when agents try to voice their concerns about her. Even though she knows she's at her limit, she tries to push forward still. Only after she loses her powers due to the painful crystallization does she finally reveal that there might be a way to fix things by visiting her monastery. And when Sage finally visits the monastery, she feels the need to make things right at once. She even tells her old friend that her offer to let her stay at the monastery can be rescinded if she sees fit. Being the one that people can rely on while accepting minimal help is admirable, but it's not really healthy for you. I hope that Sage tries to rely on her friends in the future. Sage has a voice line where she states that her power does not ebb, meaning that her power does not diminish, which is clearly false. And Sage also reveals that there are certain lessons that she chose to ignore. This implies that she always knew the crystallization was inevitable if she continues the use of her powers. Because how does one know that they are missing lessons without being aware of the existence and the meaning of those lessons? And so, Sage puts up a strong front so that she can continue to help, even though she's at her limit. This shows us that Sage is an extremely selfless and caring individual. But through Fate's dossier, we get to know that Sage was taught balance over and over, yet she made the decision to act against her teachings. Now, this may not be clear at first, but this shows that she's kinda selfish as well. It's selfish because Reina, for example, has to kill people in order to sustain herself and her sister, Lucia. The natural balance dictates that Reina must take life in order to give it. I know it might look like Reina doesn't care much, but I'm pretty sure that killing people for your own benefit has never had a positive effect on someone's mind. Knowing the kind of person Sage is, she wouldn't want to cause harm in order to heal. So it does make sense why she would want to ignore the balance. But since Reina can't ignore it, she has to deal with a guilty conscience. This is implied through her interactions with Omen. Maybe she can hear the voices of the souls that she consumes. Additionally, Reina does not have the option to save her sister at the cost of her own life or incurring some kind of toll either. What I'm trying to say is that Reina doesn't have options like Sage seems to have. We don't really know what exactly following the natural balance does for Sage, but it's probably just give and take, which is something we have seen with Reina. In this frame, we can see a few orbs that have a similar jade color we usually associate with Sage and her abilities. So that does kinda imply that Reina's healing is kinda sorta similar to Sage. Sage might have discovered a way to avoid this exchange, which caused her powers to act against her as she does so. But how her powers actually work is not yet known, so this is just speculation. We also know that Sage takes the role of a trainer. She guides the agents of VALORANT, helping them reach their true potential and understand their limits. But as we've seen in the past, Sage continuously challenges her potential and completely disregards her own limits, which makes her really hypocritical. In a voicemail to Brimstone, we see that, just like Omen, she is also burdened by past events. The voicemail suggests that she feels guilty and shameful for the mistakes she made in the past. So maybe she works as a trainer for VALORANT in order to help young Radiants walk the correct path and provide guidance that she didn't get. Through an interaction with Deadlock, Sage questions her own philosophy of helping people and undoing loss. She ponders whether loss is necessary for one's growth. This is an interesting question for an individual whose powers and personality is based around saving and helping people. Sage is unique in an unprecedented way. She can bring people back from the dead. So I think, yeah, you should save people if you have the ability to do so. But only if you can. There is nothing wrong with using your powers if there is no harm in it. But through this interaction, maybe Sage questions what would happen if she didn't take this path and what could have been. As an introspective person, maybe she thinks that sticking to her no one left behind philosophy leaves her ignorant to the natural way of life. I think she's coming to the conclusion that she may never find peace if she continues on her current path. So the question Sage asks herself is about clinging on to the worldview that has shaped her entire life versus letting go. I think she feels conflicted because her philosophy is so different compared to Deadlock or the people she has met in the past. Okay, so this is just a theory and not canon at all, but Sage thinking about what could have been gave me another wild idea. The current path that she travels is determined by the decisions she made in the past, but what if she made those decisions knowingly? What if she knew what the outcome was? What I'm trying to say is, what if disrespecting the natural balance is why Sage can resurrect people? It's like an equivalent exchange thing. As a consequence of pain, suffering, and self-sacrifice, she gained a new ability, one she wasn't supposed to have, perhaps. Sage has turned out to be a complex character, just like Phoenix before her, which is something that I like. This makes Sage into a more interesting and relatable character. She has goals, ambitions, and a personal philosophy, but she also has feelings of shame and regret that affects her actions. She makes mistakes and learns from them. So a few months back, I made a Sage video, and it performed well. But the info we have now makes it completely obsolete. I see that it still gets a few views here and there, and I feel bad because the video is kinda clickbait at this point. The possibility of Sage having a brother has decreased drastically. Yeah. So I wanted to make a better video that properly addresses Sage and summarizes what we have learned about her character as a whole. I hope the video was fun and informative. And once again, thank you for watching.